Number 10. Florence Pugh. As we know, the Hollywood it girl appears in Olivia Wilde's new film Don't Worry Darling alongside Harry Styles. However, there was reportedly much tension on the set between the two women. Florence reportedly wasn't too happy seeing her director hooking up with Harry, considering the fact that at the time she was still with Jason Sudeikis, whom she is very good friends with. So it makes sense that she wouldn't be too happy seeing the two of them together when Jason was allegedly oblivious to the affair on set and even brought their two young children to visit their mother. But what was Harry's role in all of this? Well, not a whole lot, but it's pretty apparent that Florence disapproves of his new romance with Olivia Wilde. During the premiere of Don't Worry Darling at the Venice Film Festival, fans noticed that the actress avoided both Harry and Olivia like the plague. She posed for group shots with the entire cast, but did not get any photos alone with Harry, even though they were both central characters and love interests in the film. Florence also was said to have avoided eye contact with both of them throughout the premiere and seemed to leave the event as soon as possible. So with everything that went down, it's highly unlikely they'll be working together again in the future. If you're loving this video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 8. Harrison Ford. Ford and Pitt both starred in 1997's The Devil's Own, which had reportedly faced endless problems during production, one of the biggest being that allegedly the two leads didn't get along. Conflict off the screen erupted when Pitt told Newsweek magazine that the film was, quote, the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, if you can call it that I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. Reports surfaced that the two co-stars disagreed on which character should be at the center of the film, but the alleged feud between Ford and Pitt may have just been an argument over the script, as Larry Gordon, the producer of Devil's Own, came out saying, "I never saw two men not getting along. The discussions were over the script, and every movie is a work in progress." And even Indiana Jones star himself didn't seem too upset by the comments, and even suggested that Brad simply went on a rant about the film and didn't realize that he was going to be quoted throwing it under the bus. But Ford made it clear that the only thing he didn't appreciate was the fact that people were asking more questions about the working relationship between the two actors rather than the film itself. Number 7. Mark Wahlberg. This one was one of the most unlikely celebrity feuds in the history of celebrity feuds. In 2014, Mark Wahlberg appeared on Conan and revealed that his daughter's obsession with One Direction infuriated him, so much so that he threatened to beat Harry Styles up. It's pretty clear that the actor was never a fan of the singer to begin with and told Conan that his two little girls would rather talk about One Direction than their dad's movies. Quote, "My 4-year-old's going, 'Daddy, I like Harry,' and I'm like, well, I'm gonna punch Harry in the nose when I see him. She pulls out pictures of him and she's hiding pictures in the room, and I pretend I'm ripping them up and I get jealous. But if I see that little prick, he's gonna get it." Insinuating that if Harry didn't watch out, he was going to risk getting a black eye or two. Mark also discussed a plan to have One Direction do a song for one of his movies, only to lure them in so that he could basically beat the crap out of them. Quote, "I could say, 'Hey, I really want to meet One Direction, I'm a big fan, maybe you can do the title track for the song,' and then I would beat the crap out of them in a video." Of course, it seemed like he was just messing around or being sarcastic, but it was a little odd how long he kept the joke going. Number 6. Liam Payne. Twitter fans ridiculed Liam for airing the dirty laundry of his former 1D bandmates on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. The 29-year-old reflected on the band's highs and lows, as well as the various feuds within the group and their personal problems in recent years. But fans took particular issue with the fact that he said his 2017 debut solo track, Strip That Down, outsold everyone else in the band. In fact, the whole interview came off as a little bit of a humble brag for Liam, and a lot of people were confused how he seemingly thought that he was the most successful member of the band. Liam also claimed that he was the chosen leader of One Direction, and disputed the notion that Harry was a frontman of the group. He insisted that the band was formed around him as a part of a promise that Simon had made to him 2 years prior. He explained that when he auditioned for X Factor the second time, he was thrown into the group, and Simon promised to make it work for him, and allegedly decided that Liam was to be the band's leader. But fans were very skeptical of the claim, and even Lizzo said, "I don't know who lied to that poor boy, but he was not the frontman." So it looks like the question is still up for debate. Number 5. Noel Gallagher. The English singer and songwriter who is a member of the band Oasis has a long history of questioning other artists' musical abilities. But Noel Gallagher made a whole lot of enemies when he decided to trash Harry Styles. In fact, he hated Harry even when he was in One Direction, and decided to go on record calling the band members something that rhymes with rock suckers, and said that they would all be in rehab by the time they're 30. Not only that, but he told the Daily Star that X Factor as an institution has nothing to do with music whatsoever, and that performers and bands that came from the show don't work as hard as real musicians. Quote, "You're not telling me that Harry Styles is currently sitting in a room somewhere writing a song. With any joy, he'll be surrounded by a lot of girls. I can assure you he's not got an acoustic guitar out trying to write a middle eight for something." Noel also claimed that his cat could have written Harry's debut single Sign of the Times in about 10 minutes. The singer has also trashed Little Mix and said that they were not in the same league as his own band, but clearly he doesn't take into account the size of a fan base either. Number 4, Billy Porter. Not everyone was happy to see Harry Styles gracing the cover of Vogue in 2020 while wearing a dress. In fact, actor and director Billy Porter felt that Harry was just copying him. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Porter slammed Harry's gender expression as performative. Quote, "He doesn't care, he's just doing it because it's the thing to do. This is politics for me, this is my life. I had to fight my entire life to get to the place where I could wear a dress to the Oscars. All he had to do is be white and straight." Porter went on to say, "I changed the whole game. I personally changed the whole game. And that is not ego, that is just fact. I was the first one doing it and now everybody's doing it. I created the conversation and yet Vogue still put Harry Styles." Number 3, Michael Madsen. In 1991, Pitt and Michael Madsen both appeared in the 90s feminist classic Thelma and Louise, and right away the two seemed to butt heads in a major way, and Madsen made no secret of how much he dislikes Pitt, but the beef between the actors goes way deeper than just trouble on the set of the film. In fact, they have both worked with along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place. Number 2, David O. Russell. TMZ reported that Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle collaborators Jennifer Lawrence and David O. Russell got into a loud argument on the Boston set of their film Joy. Eyewitnesses described a screaming match between them that was ear-piercing and laced with profanities. Later, a representative for the studio confirmed the yelling, but claimed that the director was just helping Jennifer to get amped up for a scene in which she screams at someone else. A day after the report, the actress stepped forward to clear up the rumor and posted a message on Facebook saying, "It's Jen. I know I don't go on here a lot because I can barely work email, but there's been a terrible rumor going around in the last 24 hours, so I wanted to clear it up. David O. Russell is one of my closest friends and we have an amazing collaborative working relationship. I adore this man and he does not deserve this tabloid malarkey. This movie is going great and I'm having a blast making it." So it's likely that all the yelling was necessary for a good performance. And coming in at number 1, Joan Rivers. While promoting one of her new films in 2013, J-Lo decided to rant about the pressure that young girls face in the media. She said, "Shows like The Fashion Police are just showing these generations of young people to judge people based on all the things that are wrong." But Joan Rivers was not too happy with Jennifer attacking her show, so she tweeted, "It's funny how Jennifer Lawrence loved the show during awards season when we were complimenting her every single week. Wait, it just dawned on me why Jennifer Lawrence fell on her way up to the stage to get her Oscar. She tripped over her own arrogance." Then she told Page 6, "My New Year's resolution is ensuring Jennifer Lawrence grows up and realizes how lucky she is and calms down. I love that she's telling everyone how wrong it is to worry about retouching and body image, and meanwhile she has been touched up more than a choir boy at the Vatican. Look at her posters. She doesn't have a nose, she has 2 holes. She just has to learn, don't talk if you're doing it."
In at 10, Edward Norton. Edward Norton is partially responsible for destroying the Incredible Hulk, and that is no small feat. It's difficult to make a superhero movie bad. Just look at the success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, Norton managed to do this with his version of the Incredible Hulk, which he insisted he rewrite and had fights with producers of the film's running time. The feud became very public in Hollywood, and Universal's Adam Fogelson was forced to plan a promotional tour that would avoid awkward media attention and interviews. After all the stress, the movie ended up being a flop regardless, and ever since, Edward Norton has never had a good standing in Hollywood, with most actors wanting to avoid working with him at all costs. You never know what film he's gonna try and rewrite. In at 9, Mel Gibson. It has been over 10 years now since Mel Gibson's infamous DUI arrest, which led to the release of his anti-Semitic rant. However, though time has passed, the incident still remains at the forefront in the actor's life, with it directly impacting his career as an actor and as a director. 2016's Hacksaw Ridge was his first successful large-scale movie movie in a very long time. However, the actor/director does have some projects currently in the works, including a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. Yeah, those are words I never thought I would say. Shane Black, the writer and director of The Nice Guys and the writer of Lethal Weapon, chimed in on the Mel Gibson scandal, stating, "I think he's essentially been blacklisted in the industry. I think people don't want to work with him." While some have come forward to defend the actor, suggesting we give him a second chance, others aren't as forgiving, including the author of Starstruck, The Business of Celebrity, who said the situation is not the same thing as forgiving Lindsay Lohan for partying too late. Anti-Semitism is not just behaving badly. Preach. Coming in at 8, Lindsay Lohan. As a child star, Lindsay Lohan had a hugely successful acting career, appearing in works such as Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, and of course, The Parent Trap. However, as she got older and fell into drugs and alcohol, the media was abuzz with several public arrests and rehab stints. Her behavior ultimately got her kicked off of various sets and fired from a number of different movies, and then of course she failed to launch her own reality TV show. Her career trajectory would also lead her to starring in one of the worst and strangest movies of 2013, The Canyons, which no one should ever set their eyes upon. All in all, Lohan is not someone you'd be investing your money in, forcing some actors to steer away from the once shining star.
Number 6, Jennifer Aniston. The story that dominated the tabloids in the 2000s was just as scandalous as it was made out to be. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is that Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Brad famously embarked on a jet-setting romance with her despite the fact that he was still married to Jennifer. Although all parties denied that there was infidelity involved, Angelina couldn't help but gush to the papers about her new romance, and Jennifer told Vogue in 2008 that she had in fact read some of those interviews, and according to her, quote, "There was stuff printed in there that was definitely from a time when I was unaware that it was happening, and I felt those details were a little inappropriate to discuss." That stuff about how she couldn't wait to get to work every day. Not cool. Although they might be on good terms now, there's certainly a reason that Brad avoided having Jennifer in any of his films, and it probably has a lot to do with their past. Number 5, Mark Canton. Harrison Ford wasn't the only person that Brad Pitt bumped heads with during the filming of 1997's The Devil's Own. In fact, not long after the filming wrapped, news also surfaced that Pitt had wanted out of the film that he felt was doomed. But it was Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, that threatened him with a $63 million lawsuit if he went through with the walkout. So of course Pitt was kind of trapped, but he let his frustration out in that controversial interview in Newsweek magazine ahead of the film's release. Apart from calling the movie the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking, he said, quote, "I don't know why anyone would want to continue making that movie. We had nothing. The movie was the complete victim of this drowning studio head who said, 'I don't care, we're making it. I don't care what you have, shoot something.' If that wasn't enough, Pitt even said that they had no script, and it was a lot of pressure on himself and Harrison Ford just to make it all up as they went along. So clearly he resents Canton for putting him in that kind of situation in the first place." Number 4, Odile Soudant. The famous French designer who was once a friend or acquaintance of Brad Pitt's ended up suing the couple in 2017 over the lighting in their Chateau Miraval home. The Guardian reported that Soudant claimed that the former couple simply stopped paying for her work that she did on 4 buildings of their 40-room mansion in France, while the designer insisted that she had no written contract specifically with Pitt or Jolie. She claims that he gave her the green light to do whatever she wanted in order to make their home beautiful. She took him literally at his word and hired architects, designers, lighting and acoustic specialists, and even an optical engineer to calculate the angle of the sun's rays on the chateau. The trouble started growing when Soudant noticed that Pitt and Jolie stopped paying for her estimated $29 million project after her billings reached approximately $6 million, and Pitt emailed her saying, "I don't know how things happen in France, but in the United States, friends don't attack friends. I've been nothing but a fan of your work. Do not attack. Let's finish the project and be proud of it." But by August of 2017, the former couple were ordered to pay her roughly $674,000, including about $71,000 for damaging her reputation.
In the 3rd spot is Christian Bale, because his on-set rant has gone down in history and there's no way I cannot share the story again. If you haven't heard about this epic freakout moment, the actor went nuts on a lighting crew member while filming Terminator Salvation, and the whole thing was caught on tape. The crew member ruined the scene that Bale was filming because he stepped into frame to check one of the lights. The actor started cursing at him, threatening to kick his ass, and he said he actually wanted him fired from the set. set. He told the director he would not continue the movie if that crew member was still working on the film. The poor guy in the audio kept trying to apologize to him, but Bale was just not having it. He basically yelled at him for like 5 minutes straight. Now, he did release an apology after that, but I am just sure that it scared off a lot of people from wanting to work with him.
Coming in at number 2, Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow has had quite the career spanning over the last 2 decades, well technically 3 now. She's appeared in works such as Seven, Shakespeare in Love, for which she won an Oscar, The Talented Mr. Ripley, The Royal Tenenbaums, and of course she plays Pepper Potts in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All that being said, she also has a terrible reputation on and off the screen. It has been said by countless people that Paltrow is not an enjoyable person to work with or even be around due to her coldness and demands as an actress. Most of this seems to stem from her apparent unpleasantness, which is why she was voted the most stuck-up actress in Movie Line magazine back in 1998. That being said, she hasn't failed to find work as of yet, but I would love to know how her co-stars are feeling. Probably not great. And finally in at number 1, Shia LaBeouf. This should really come as no surprise. Anyone who has seen Transformers or even heard about the movie knows of Shia LaBeouf. Outside of his Disney days starring Even Stevens, it was Transformers that shot the actor to superstardom. He would go on to appear in works such as Fury, The Peanut Butter Falcon, Honey Boy, Lawless, and Disturbia, as well as the one movie we really hate to discuss, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. However, in recent years, Shia has been known to be a challenge on and off set, specifically revolving around his strange method acting approach, often leading to run-ins with his fellow co-stars. There are even stories of the actor being involved in physical fights on set, especially on the set of Lawless, where he supposedly punched Tom Hardy, as well as on the set of Fury. Not to mention he had a very public feud with Alec Baldwin, whom he had done a Broadway play with, which led to the actor being fired.
Kicking off this countdown at number 10 is Jared Leto. No one can deny that he fully embraced his character as the Joker in Suicide Squad. But how far can one go and still get away with calling it method acting? Reports from the movie set claim that the actor never broke his character even when the camera stopped rolling, which sounds like a really committed actor to his craft, but his co-stars revealed that he took things just a little too far and started mailing adult toys to their trailers. He even sent Margot Robbie a dead rat. Not like a toy one, like an actual dead rat. So you could chalk this up and call it method acting, but the rest of the cast and crew said he was just difficult to deal with. Next up at number 9 is Julia Roberts. She's been called Hollywood's sweetheart who captivated the hearts of many people through her different characters, but don't be fooled, it turns out she might not be as sweet as we think. Despite the fact that she's played the girl with a heart of gold in movies like Pretty Woman, you might be surprised to hear that the nice girl image is really just an image. According to her co-star Nick Nolte, who filmed I Love Trouble with her, they had to film their scenes separately because they disliked each other so much. They actually used stand-ins when doing the close-up dialogue shots. Nick spoke about what it was like to work with her and said, "She's not a nice person. Everyone knows that." Does everyone know that though? Because I didn't. But the feeling was mutual apparently. She didn't enjoy working with him either. However, I did some research and this is not the only time someone said she's hard to work with. Sightings number 8 is Liam Neeson. We all know he's a total badass in movies, but what is he like in real life? It will all depend on who you ask. There have been reports made about his strong-headed attitude and ego that can be difficult to work with alongside while filming. It also doesn't help that he's made some incredibly insensitive comments throughout the years, some being completely inappropriate and racist. In 2019, he admitted that he wanted to commit violent acts against black men because he was wanting revenge for a friend of his who was raped by a man of color. Of course, the world immediately called him a racist for trying to categorize the personal incident into a race issue. It is not the first time that he's put his foot in his mouth either, and I can understand why some people just wouldn't want to work with him after controversies like that one. That's pretty bad, my friend.
Coming in at 7, Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman is one of the most prolific actors in Hollywood and one of the most legendary, appearing in works such as Tootsie, Rain Man, Midnight Cowboy, and The Graduate, even nabbing 2 Oscar wins along the way. Now our list is primarily comprised of actors presumed to be difficult to work with. This is one of the only cases where the actor actually doesn't mind their reputation, and if anything, enjoys it. Hoffman throughout his career has been known to be somewhat of a tough guy, and incredibly difficult to work with simply because he wants everything to be perfect, in turn insisting on redoing takes multiple times. In between his huge roles, he successfully managed to garner a reputation for being a grueling actor, and it is well known that director Sidney Pollack would shout at him repeatedly because of it. Coming in at 6, Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer is yet another actor on our list with an absolutely terrible reputation in Hollywood, specifically down to his on-set antics. He was fired by Richard Stanley from the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau after just 3 days of filming. This was in turn due to him fighting with people on set. Batman Forever director Joel Schumacher also reportedly called him childish and impossible, and this could possibly be why we no longer see him pop up in movies anymore. That, and because he can't act for he also has a horrible face.
Halfway through at number 5 is Mike Myers. I have shared one of his stories a few times on this channel after I learned about his ridiculous demands while filming The Cat in the Hat. One of his castmates from the movie described working with him as, I quote, a nightmarish, horrible experience. She claimed that he covered the area around his trailer with tents because he didn't want anyone to see him. She also said he would keep everyone waiting hours when it was time to film a scene because he didn't actually follow the production schedule. He just kinda did his own thing, on his own terms. One thing his co-star Amy Hill and the director both revealed was that he actually had an assistant follow him around with a Tupperware of chocolate, and he would feed him whenever he wanted them.
Coming in at number 4, Lea Michele. This is no big surprise. It was globally known that Lea Michele was quite the diva while shooting the widely popular Fox show Glee back in the day. Her former co-star Naya Rivera wrote a book where she described the time the actress kept threatening to call SAG about the unsafe work conditions. However, Michele fired back at these claims, stating, "So I guess you can throw a bitch fit, lock yourself in your trailer, stall production, yet still allegedly find time to leak stories to the press." Michele then went on to work on the show Scream Queens, which was ultimately cancelled. However, during production she supposedly told Ryan Murphy that she would record just 2 screams and that they could use those throughout the entire show because she was a singer and couldn't possibly scream more than that. Coming in at 3, Sharon Stone. According to director of Golden Boy Pupi Avati, Sharon Stone made some questionable comments towards him and an entire country, not to mention made some ridiculous requests. According to the director, she acted as if Italy was a third world country, even asking if they had electricity. Yes, they do. He also went on to claim that Stone would leave the set unannounced and have her manager call them with demands. However, the actress has denied these claims.
Taking over the number 2 spot is Constance Wu. She skyrocketed to success after starring in Crazy Rich Asians, but with that success came a negative reputation because she couldn't keep her mouth shut online. On more than one occasion, she's ranted on Twitter in an ungracious way, and most recently has been titled a diva for her time on set while filming Hustlers. A source from the set came forward and said, "She refuses to do interviews, she won't have visitors on her sets, it's like a cliche, she's very talented but all signs are pointing to a difficult diva." It was also reported that she was rude to crew members and disrespectful to the property that the production team rented her in New York City. However, the actress will defend herself and continues to say that these claims are not true. We've made it to number 1 and we have Joaquin Phoenix. No one can take his recent Oscar award away from him. He definitely deserved it for his role as the Joker in the new movie. But in his acceptance speech, he admitted himself that he is not the easiest person to work with at times. There's been multiple reports made of examples where he was difficult, but some of his behavior actually cost him movie roles. One source said, "Getting him to sign on the dotted line is a nightmare. He'll drag out the salary negotiation for months, which holds up production and costs the studios more money in the end." Apparently, it cost him the role of the Joker in Suicide Squad and a leading part in Marvel's Doctor Strange. But despite his crappy behavior, he's first to admit it, and he's also wildly talented, so I think people would still work with him even if they genuinely didn't want to.
Number 10, Taylor Swift. Jared Leto caught some heat when TMZ leaked a video of him and his band 30 Seconds to Mars listening to Taylor Swift's 1989 and saying how they really felt about it. Jared was caught saying, "F her, I don't give an F about her, it's whatever works best for us." Swift's fans were obviously not too happy with what was said, and Jared received some pretty intense backlash from recording, so much so that he eventually was forced to issue a formal apology. The truth is that I think Taylor Swift is amazing and an incredible example of what's possible. If I hurt her or my fans, my sincerest apologies. The whole thing was pretty awkward. Number 9, Margot Robbie. When the Australian actress worked with Leto in 2016 on the Suicide Squad, it wasn't exactly a relaxing experience for her, but it was actually her co-star Viola Davis that first confirmed rumors that Jared had gifted Margot a pet rat on the set of the movie, and spoke about the incident to British Vogue. Quote, "I was saying loudly, 'Don't open the box.' I was halfway out the door when Margot opened the box and saw the biggest black rat you could imagine." Reports at the time suggested that Leto dished out the bizarre gift as a part of his attempts to channel the famously deranged Joker character. He has since denied the story and instead claimed that he gifted Margot with some sweet treats. He told GQ, quote, "It's also interesting how this stuff takes on a life of its own, but I never gave Margot Robbie a dead rat. That's just not true." But even Margot confirmed that she had been given the rat in an interview with Jimmy Fallon. At first I thought this was disgusting, but then after that I was like, I'm not gonna kill him. So I ended up keeping him as a pet. Despite the fact that she eventually warmed to the rat, it's easy to see why she wouldn't be jumping to do another movie with Leto after his crazy antics. Number 8. Robert Pattinson. While it's true that every actor has their own process to get ready for a role, method acting often goes into uncomfortable territory, and even Robert Pattinson believes there's such a thing as going too far. Quote, "I always say about people who do method acting, you only ever see people do method when they're playing a-holes. You never see someone being lovely to everyone while they're really deep into a character." While he didn't reference Leto specifically, his comments certainly created some tension between the two DC actors, as Jared is known for his reliance on method acting, especially for his role as the Joker, when he took it to the extreme. In fact, he took his role so seriously that he didn't even speak to his co-star Will Smith outside of filming for their parts, as a way to connect with his character. Leto would also send wildly inappropriate gifts to his co-stars, such as dead animals, objects that are meant to be used in the bedroom, and items that seem highly contaminated, all in the name of creating a dynamic. Jared himself tried to justify this on set behavior by saying that the Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries. But what was the point of disturbing his co-stars to such a degree when the movie was a critical flop anyway?
Coming in at number 7, Sean Young. You may not know her name, but you definitely know who she is. Sean Young rose to fame when she starred in the 80s mega hit Blade Runner. However, what ultimately ended her career was her behavior off camera, according to some reports. Actor James Woods claims she harassed him by leaving disfigured dolls outside of his home, resulting in him suing her. She also slapped a security guard who threw her out of a party for not having a ticket, according to The Guardian.
In spot number 6 is Sarah Jessica Parker. Rumors started flying that the actress wasn't the sweet and bubbly girl fans were convinced she was after her Sex and the City co-star shared what it's really like to work with her. But the feud between Sarah and Kim Cattrall has been going on for years. It's kinda hard to know which side of the story is really true. Some say it all started after Sarah was given an executive producer title in the second season, which bumped her salary up to $300,000 at the time. Kim refused to do the next Sex and the City movie back in 2017 because she literally wanted nothing to do with her co-star. Then in 2018, Kim's brother passed away and Sarah wrote her condolences on her Instagram post. However, Kim wrote a public announcement in response saying, "Your continuous reaching out is a painful reminder of how cruel you really were then and now. You are not my family, you are not my friend, so I'm writing to tell you one last time to stop exploiting our tragedy in order to restore your nice girl persona." Damn, she did not hold back with that one.
Coming in at 5, Russell Crowe. This Oscar winner can nab any role he chooses seemingly, starring in works such as Gladiator, Les Miserables, even though he can't sing, A Beautiful Mind, LA Confidential, The Nice Guys, and Boy Erased, the latter being absolutely incredible with the star shining through. However, his behavior off-screen has affected things ever so slightly. In 1999, he got into a fight at the Plantation Hotel in Coffs Harbour, and years later, he yelled at a producer at the British Academy Film Awards. Not to mention, he was also arrested and accused of throwing a phone at a hotel employee before going on to start a weird feud with one of Hollywood's leading men, George Clooney. All in all, most actors either don't want to work with him or outright refuse.
We've made it to number 4 and we have Kirk Cameron. Everyone loved the 80s sitcom Growing Pains, where the actor played the dreamy teenager Mike Seaver. But as the series went on, the actor became deeply religious and started causing some issues on set. Apparently in the later seasons, he spent the majority of his time judging his other co-stars for what he felt was immoral behavior based on his own views. He even requested script revisions to fit his religious belief. He wanted rewrites to some of the scenes and actually refused to do them if not. It was reported that his religion actually led to one of his co-stars, Julie McCulloch, being fired. She played his girlfriend on the series and once appeared nude in Playboy, so he demanded that ABC fire her when he found out. She was actually fired and they rewrote the whole plot. Their characters were actually supposed to get married, so they basically had to change the whole thing.
Number 3. Joel Kinnaman. During a press tour, the actor was asked about his thoughts on 2019's Joker, and that's when he decided to throw some shade at Jared Leto. Joel Kinnaman quickly aired his thoughts on Leto's performance. As the clown prince of crime before raving about Joaquin Phoenix's takeover. When asked if making the new Joker film was cheating on Jared, he bluntly replied, "No? Who?" He then went on to praise the new Joker film instead, saying, "Joaquin just crushed it. I mean, wow, he's incredible. He's such an actor." It's surprising to see something that has that kind of performance that has a DC wraparound because it's a real art film. I think he's really one of the best of all time. Joel Kinnaman, who played Rick Flag in David Ayer's original Suicide Squad, also seemed to favor the second film, the one that didn't include Jared Leto. Quote, "When I saw the film completed, I felt, yeah, this was what the first film set out to do." It really does make sense that he feels this way though, considering that the first movie was universally hated and torn apart by critics, whereas its sequel has received almost universally positive reviews and achieved a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's easy to see why he prefers that version. Number 2. Daniel Espinosa. The only thing that one can say about Morbius is that it's certainly a movie. That's something that director Daniel Espinosa would probably agree with, given that he had to deal with Jared Leto's so-called method acting for his role as Dr. Michael Morbius. So what did he put the director through exactly? Well, in order to prepare for his portrayal as Marvel's very first on-screen vampire, Jared would reportedly remain in character for the duration of the shoot, even pretending to be disabled in between takes and using his character's crutches even on his bathroom breaks. While speaking to Uproxx magazine, Espinosa confirmed this and even revealed that Jared's technique became a problem on set as he would take too long to move around between each scene. Apparently, he had to be given a wheelchair to move around for the sake of speeding him up because his ridiculous antics were actually wasting a lot of time. Number 1. Joaquin Phoenix. Just how annoyed was Jared Leto with Todd Phillips' Joker in 2019? Well, the movie ended up grossing more than $1 billion against a budget of around $60 million. Not only that, but it garnered international praise, mostly for the incredible performance from its Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. But the film's success was allegedly a source of embarrassment for Jared Leto, who tried to have the film shut down ahead of its production. According to sources familiar with Jared's behavior, when the Oscar-winning actor learned of the Phillips project, he not only complained bitterly to his agents at CAA, but reportedly asked his music manager, Irving Azoff, to call the leader of Warner Brothers and get them to kill the film. We now know that obviously didn't work, and for whatever reason, that same year Jared ended up parting ways with his manager. THR previously reported that Jared thought Warner Brothers had strung him along with the promises of his own Joker standalone film, only to greenlight the Phillips version with Joaquin Phoenix instead. So it's easy to see why Jared felt threatened with the success of Joker, but anyone in Joaquin's position would just want the chance to portray the villain in their own way, and shouldn't have to prioritize someone else's ego before they take on a role. Number 10. Miley Cyrus. In 2013, Miley Cyrus allegedly got very jealous when Jennifer Lawrence went after her ex Liam Hemsworth. The jealousy was likely sparked by headlines claiming that the Hunger Games co-stars were dating, and Jennifer didn't really bother doing anything to shut down those rumors when she appeared on Watch What Happens Live in December of 2015 and admitted to making out with Liam off set. When Andy Cohen asked, "Have you two ever kissed when the cameras weren't rolling?" she replied, "Liam and I grew up together. Liam's real hot. What would you have done?" "Yeah, I have." Not only that, but in 2014, when Jennifer visited Late Night with Seth Meyers, she recounted a time that she threw up in front of Miley at the Oscars after party. She said, "I was in such a bad condition and I look behind me and while I'm puking and Miley Cyrus is there like, get it together," essentially saying that Miley shot her a disapproving look and shamed her for puking. But when the former Disney Channel star got wind of the story, she called BS and responded with a tweet saying, "That never happened." If you're loving this video, video so far, please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9, Chloe Sevigny. The fashion icon and indie film darling voiced her annoyance about how actors these days have to now have marketable personalities. She went on to comment on how irritating it is to see the likes of Emma Stone or Jennifer Lawrence play to the audience on late night talk shows. She said they'll have a really peppy, funny girl on the talk show rounds, and everybody adores her and loves her, wants to be her or wants to F her, and then so many people want to watch the movie or TV show. I understand that star quality, how much value that carries. Chloe ends her borderline rant with criticism of the young Oscar winner, saying, "Jennifer Lawrence I find annoying, too crass." But that wasn't the first time that the Hunger Games star has been called out for her lack of authenticity, with many film lovers criticizing her overly enthusiastic nature on various talk shows. In fact, these days a lot of people think she just tries too hard to come across as relatable, and it often feels too forced. Number 8, Zayn Malik. In a moment of honesty, the 29-year-old opened up to US Weekly and revealed the reality of his relationship with Harry, admitting that the two of them barely spoke while they were in One Direction, let alone since. Zayn said, "To be honest, I never really spoke to Harry even when I was in the band, so I didn't really expect that much of a relationship with him, and I haven't had one." Sometime later, possibly in a response to Zayn's comments, Harry appeared on SNL and dragged Zayn during his opening monologue. He said, "I was in a band called One Direction. How crazy would it be if they were here tonight? I love those guys. They're my brothers. Niall, Liam, Louis, and Ringo." If you didn't catch that, he was implying that Zayn was a less important member of the group, as many Beatles fans see Ringo Starr as the least talented and least interesting person in the band. So what was his reaction? Well, a source close to the star told Hollywood Life that Zayn doesn't care what his former band member does or says, and that he'd rather not see his name in a headline with Harry ever again. But the whole thing was hardly a surprise to fans, given that the two of them weren't exactly best friends. They were more like co-workers. Number 6, Erica Lane. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star had some pretty harsh words for Jennifer Lawrence after she trash-talked her at the Toronto Film Festival. J-Lo was talking about the Real Housewives and said, "My biggest problem with this season is that it's been boring, and I think that Erica is evil. I would go as far as to say that she needs a publicist ASAP," seemingly referencing the fact that Erica has been at the center of several lawsuits involving her estranged husband and disgraced attorney Tom Girardi. When Erica went on to Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, he asked her what her reaction was to Jennifer's comments, to which she responded, "Well, you know, it's easy to label people when they are at their absolute lowest going through something in real life on television. But anytime that she would like to come down and mix it up with us, I'm sure that we could unmask the ugly parts of her personality as well." Which was not only a great comeback, but it's also true. Number 5, Lala Kent. In 2018, when Jennifer Lawrence went on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, she jokingly called Lala Kent the C-word. The star of Vanderkamp Rules didn't take that too kindly and tweeted, "Did Jennifer Lawrence really call me the C-word on Bravo? And talk about my mama? B, you better pray I don't see you in the streets. You're one of the highest paid actresses on the planet. You claim you are pro-women and you call another woman a C-word? You are gross." Clearly, Lala did not take any time to cool off, because less than a month later, she slammed Jennifer Lawrence again and said that the actress had 2 failed films in a row. She called her the type of chick who would give Harvey Weinstein sexual favors for roles. Lala also said, "I think we've come to the conclusion that she sucks. Now anytime you bring her up, I'm like, I don't have anything nice to say about her. I'm gonna say that her hair sucks, her face is a little too pudgy, like she needs to stop the drinking, you know?" Number 4, Jennifer Lopez. During a visit to The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon in 2014, Jennifer recounted an awkward incident that took place at the Met Ball with J-Lo. She claimed that she approached J-Lo asking to dance and got rejected when J-Lo said, "No, I'm just going to observe." A couple of days later, the singer shared her side of the story and told Access Hollywood, "I remember that we were at the Met Ball and Kanye was about to perform and it was a crazy moment. And then they came over, Jimmy Fallon, he started talking, and then Jennifer came over too. And then she was like, 'Let's go dance.' And I was like, 'No, I'm good right here.' But I didn't mean it like, 'No, I don't want to dance with you.' I just meant like, 'It's so crowded in here, let's stay right here.'" Although she clarified that she would have loved to dance with her, it seemed like it was more of a communication issue that left J-Lo feeling a little embarrassed here. Number 3, Taj Jackson. Michael Jackson's nephew was fuming when Rolling Stone UK tweeted out the cover of their November issue, which featured Harry Styles. The singer was pictured rocking a white fur stole and pink sequin shorts while holding a birthday cake with lit candles, and the title reading, "Harry Styles, How the New King of Pop Set the Music World Aflame." It's safe to say that this didn't go over too well with Taj Jackson, who immediately took to the comments to roast the magazine and demand a different title title for Harry. He wrote, "There is no new king of pop. You don't own the title, Rolling Stone, and you didn't earn it. My uncle did. Decades of dedication and sacrifice. The title has been retired." The 49-year-old is the eldest child of Michael Jackson's brother Taito, and although he insisted that he wasn't disrespecting Harry, his 180,000 followers seemed to be out for blood and started joining in on the hate train against him. One user wrote, "Harry is like every other pop star, a Michael Jackson wannabe that will never be anywhere near as good or as talented as the real king of pop." Then Taj doubled down on his feelings and wrote, "There is only one king of pop, and no offense intended to Harry Styles, but he's not in the same league or universe as Michael Jackson." Wow.
Number 2, Mark Forster. The fact that World War Z managed to do okay at the box office is literally a miracle when you consider how massive the feud was between its star Brad Pitt and its director Mark Forster, making it one of the most infamously troubleshoots of any blockbuster from the last decade. Pitt starred as a UN worker, Jerry Lane, who searches the globe for information that can stop the zombie outbreak that is bringing down nations. But on the set was total chaos. Vulture reported that Pitt eventually stopped speaking altogether to Forster, and that the director's notes for him were being given through a rotation of 3 different production members. That's right, they hated each other so much that they couldn't even speak to each other face to face. But the situation was further complicated by Pitt's status as a producer, giving him authority to challenge Forster's creative calls and causing the post-production process to be dragged out by their conflicting visions. And when the studio chiefs ordered reshoots of the film, the apparent breakdown in the duo's relationship just made that progress extremely problematic. And coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie. They were once Hollywood's glittering power couple, but for the last 5.5 years, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have been very publicly airing out their dirty laundry in one of the messiest and most expensive divorce battles of all time. It was a shock to the world when the Tomb Raider actress Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Pitt in September of 2016, just 2 years after they wed and 12 years into their partnership. Citing irreconcilable differences, Angelina requested sole physical custody of their 6 children, and the following month she made a threat to take the children abroad despite a renegotiated custody agreement. The actress even took a swipe at him in Harper's Bazaar, saying, "I would love to live abroad and will do so as soon as my children are 18, but right now I'm having to base where their father chooses to live." In fact, it was recently reported that Brad is suing Angelina for allegedly secretly selling the couple's $116 million winery just to spite him. Although the once golden couple worked together on the iconic spy movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's unlikely these two will ever share the big screen ever again.
At number 10, Rihanna. Rihanna might seem like a nice, happy-go-lucky person who's always going hard for her fans, but it turns out that she actually has a little bit of a dark side. I guess you could say that she's savage, like Savage X Fenty. No? Alright. It seems like on a few occasions, she's been quite mean to her fans. She's no stranger to shoving a phone out of her face when approached by a fan, and she's been known to yell at paparazzi and fans when they get a little too close for comfort. On some more unpleasant occasions, she's been filmed smacking a fan on the head with a microphone. During one of her concerts in England in 2013, the singer whacked a fan with her mic because they had reached their hand out to her. Like that. And in another savage incident, Rihanna mocked a 16-year-old fan online for having recreated one of her red carpet looks for prom, where she called her out on Twitter and made fun of her look, calling it expectation versus reality, and posting a side-by-side comparison. Not the nicest person in the industry, that's for sure. At number 9, Ezra Miller. This one was a little shocking, but it turns out that Ezra Miller might not be as nice of a guy as we think. You may have seen in the intro a video of Ezra Miller choking and slamming a woman to the ground. This video, when it first hit the internet, was thought to have been a joke, but it really wasn't. This happened during an altercation at a bar in Iceland when a group of fans approached the actor and things got out of hand. Bystanders of the incident described the group as being very pushy, and it seemed like this was what triggered Ezra's violent reaction. Things escalated and he lost his temper, leading to the physical altercation. Some say that alcohol may have contributed to the incident, but the bottom line is that Ezra's outburst was not cute, and it really surprised a lot of fans. Just before I continue on with the video, I'd like to ask you guys to maybe consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We love getting your positive feedback and your likes really help us out too, so please go ahead and show us some love by smashing that like button. At number 8, Jennifer Lopez. This probably doesn't come as a shock to many, but it turns out that J-Lo isn't a very nice person. Some say that she's a real diva and others say that she's just rude. Apparently the singer/actress is very picky about who may or may not speak to her, and for those permitted to address her, they're not allowed to make eye contact with her. There are even reports that she sometimes flat out refuses to comply with scripts. This has happened on a few occasions, most notably during a filming for a Fiat commercial where they needed to hire a double for Jennifer simply because she just didn't want to do certain things for the shoot. She doesn't have a good reputation with a lot of people she's worked with either. She is said to have completely ignored the people who were remodeling her house. She's gotten a cleaning lady fired for having asked for an autograph, and she even refuses to talk to in-flight staff and pilots on flights and instructs her assistant to talk to them for her. And even though her staff do so much for her, including communicating for her, they don't get paid very much for their time. J-Lo just gives off bad vibes, so I think maybe it's best to steer clear of her whenever possible.
Number 7, started a cult. Let's get into one of the biggest issues here when it comes to Leto. With an already well-established acting career under his belt by 1998, it was then that he decided to start up his very own rock group called 30 Seconds to Mars alongside his brother Shannon Leto. And while it may have started as an innocent exploration into new career paths, things took a turn for the worst when the band began to gain a large following, with many pointing out that it started looking more and more like a cult. In 2013, Leto joked about the situation during an interview with New York Times magazine, stating that the whole thing had been a joke and just a response to journalists calling them a cult. However, as the years progressed, it seemed to be anything but a joke. In 2019, Leto and the band hosted a Croatian getaway retreat, which sparked further rumors of the nature of the fandom. Photos that surfaced from the event showed Leto and fans alike wearing similar white outfits and throwing up strange hand symbols. Not to mention that Leto himself was wearing an all-white ensemble and looked eerily similar to Jesus with his beard and his hair. In a photo posted by the band's very own Twitter page, the caption even read, "Yes, this is a cult." Number 6, scamming fans. Another way the band's following resembles a real-life cult is all the money. Not only did the 2019 event fuel the conspiracy theories of the actor leading a cult, but the huge prices for these cult-like getaways also sparked further controversy as Leto came under fire for taking advantage of his power and influence to get money out of his young fans. A separate retreat in Malibu that same year charged fans a whopping $999 to camp outside for 2 nights with tents that they themselves had to provide and no other supplies included. I mean, the cheapest available option for a solo room was $6,499 for a VIP experience, or whatever that means. That's not the only event that fans had to shell out exorbitant amounts of money to pay for. There have been claims that the rock band has charged fans as much as $900 for meet and greet sessions, according to one blogger who allegedly attended such an event in 2013. Just as a little comparison, Rihanna only charged $116 in 2015, and Taylor Swift has always made it a point to make her meet and greets free. But their dedicated fans don't really seem to mind the high price tags, because so many posted on Twitter about it afterwards and said that although the price was a little bit overboard, the experience was ultimately worth it. I find that really hard to believe. Number 5. Joker mayhem. Several other actors who have shared the screen with Leto have famously spoken up about what it was like working alongside the bizarre actor. Like in 2016, when Leto found himself the subject of yet another controversy due to his strange and uncomfortable methods of preparing for his role as the Joker in the Suicide Squad. It seems like the actor has really built a reputation of being difficult to work with because he just takes it too far when preparing for a role. As a way to connect with his character, Leto would send wildly inappropriate gifts to his co-stars, such as dead animals, objects that are meant to be used in the bedroom, and items that are highly contaminated, all in the name of a prank. The backlash Leto experienced due to the vulgar gifts he sent his Suicide Squad castmates was not well received by the actor at all. During a 2016 interview with E!, he attempted to justify his actions, much to his co-star's disdain, after having described him as jarring. Quote, "I did a lot of things to create a dynamic, to create an element of surprise, of spontaneity, and to really break down any kind of walls that there may be there. The Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries. But honestly, what was the point of disturbing his co-stars to such a degree? The movie also bombed, and many critics pointed to his performance as part of the reason why." Number 4. The sleepover competition. This one really solidified the band's reputation as creepy. In 2013, 30 Seconds to Mars were promoting their 4th studio album, Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams, with a really weird and completely inappropriate giveaway. The winner of said competition would get to spend what the band called, quote, "a magical night in Leto's bed at his home." Yes, you heard that right. The prize of the competition was actually called a sleepover, which you could potentially win if you paid in advance for their album. That's not even the craziest part of all this. There were reportedly 6 lucky winners for the sleepover, and one of them ended up being chosen to sleep in Jared's bed. The winner, who just went by Tess, later posted on her blog that Leto's bed was actually a coffin. I mean, talk about red flags. While the premise of the competition was crazy, apparently travel was included and so were vegan pancakes. This goes to show you that Leto is acutely aware of the degree of fan dedication. In 2013, he actually said, quote, "If people like 30 Seconds to Mars, they really, really like it. We have this cult, this family, these believers. It's this knowledge that has given the band a sense of entitlement which is so ingrained that they feel that they can get away with pretty much anything when it comes to their fans."
At number 3, Ariana Grande. I honestly thought that Ariana Grande was a really nice person. She's pretty soft-spoken and seems like she's really kind, but according to people who've worked with or interacted with the singer, it's not exactly true. She's apparently so bad that even her life coach quit on her, so you know something's up. Apparently Ariana makes some high demands, from the positioning of lighting to being in the right position when people come to see her or take photos with her. She's also gotten backlash for her attitude from people she's worked with in the past, like Victoria Justice and Jeanette McCurdy. Jeanette has called Ariana a leech and a drama queen, and Victoria has accused Ariana of bullying her on set. Ariana was also involved in that donut licking incident which painted her as a disrespectful person, and she's been accused of using her relationships to further her career, along with being involved in some cheating scandals on 2 accounts, one while with Jay Brooks and another when she was with Mac Miller. The bottom line with Ariana is that she's not the nice girl she pretends to be. At number 2, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal seems to be this super great guy who's given back to his community, donated to all these charities, and has done a lot of work to benefit a lot of people. I mean, the guy has a whole foundation in his name, so this one might be a little controversial, but this was news to me, so I thought I'd share it with the class. There was an incident in 2014 when Shaq mocked the appearance of a man named Jamal Binion. Jamal suffers from a rare genetic condition which has resulted in some facial deformities. It seems like Shaq saw a picture of him online and recreated the image himself, posing his face to look like that of Jamal. Well, he didn't think it was very funny, and even though Shaq apologized, it wasn't enough, and so he issued a lawsuit against the basketball star, as well as 2 other people who mocked his condition for $25,000 in damages. The lawsuit claimed that the image was shared to nearly 10 million people around the world, so this public mocking was grounds for seeking damages. Shaq may not be a mean guy all of the time, but this instance sure did open a lot of people's eyes to the NBA star's actions. And finally at number 1, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey isn't the nicest person ever. She's had run-ins with the paparazzi which have not gone over well. She's had some bad relationships with others, and she's known to be something of a diva. But this takes the cake. There was a lawsuit from one of Mariah's former assistants which claimed that the singer peed on her, ridiculed her body, and then called her some pretty rude names. Her former assistant said that she was hired by the singer to be on call 24/7 and assisted both Mariah and her manager. Though she was paid a salary of $250,000 a year, this wage just couldn't cover up the alleged abuse sustained by Mariah. But her case wasn't the only one up against the singer at the time. While this case was being disputed, Mariah had just settled one with her former manager which cited breach of contract, harassment, and unpaid wages. It seems like though she pays her people well, she doesn't treat them as well as she should. At number 10, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was a star. Super talented, a trailblazer for women in comedy, and someone who seemed to have a bright and fun personality. But according to some people who worked with her or had met the Hollywood star, Lucille wasn't all that nice to everyone she met. Some fans reported having unpleasant encounters with her, saying that she could be quite rude at times, and some celebs at the time had said things like that as well. Apparently, shows were a little apprehensive about booking Lucille because she could be mean to other guests and staff, and they just didn't want to deal with the drama. Others who worked alongside the actress revealed that she didn't like interacting with the help and got a reputation amongst flight attendants for being mean and refusing to speak to them when they would ask for her drink order or other things that she might need, and directed them to talk to her assistant instead. She would also refuse to talk to anyone she considered lower than she was in the entertainment industry. She was still a star, but maybe not so much in the eyes of those she worked with. At number 9, Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know about you guys, but when I noticed that a lot of people think that Jerry Seinfeld is mean, I was a little shocked. I mean, I don't know much about the guy, but I just didn't peg him as being the mean type. Most people don't like him because his humor goes a little too far, which I can totally understand. Some examples of crude humor from his show, Comedians in the Car Getting Coffee, include jokes about Harvey Weinstein and poking fun at the Me Too movement, as well as joking about assault and using words like gay in a derogatory manner. Also, he apparently doesn't like young people. According to sources, Jerry has refused to speak at colleges because he says students these days are too sensitive. What are your opinions on Jerry? Like I said, I don't know much about him apart from the Bee Movie, so what are your thoughts? Is his humor too crude, or are there other reasons you may or may not like him? If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like on this video. We love seeing you guys supporting the channel, and it really helps us out.
At number 7, Jesse James. Jesse James is an American entrepreneur, TV personality, and Sandra Bullock's ex-husband. Jesse is known in the media for his extramarital affairs, as he's known to have cheated on Sandra Bullock when they were together, and most recently we found out that he cheated on his now ex-wife Alexis DeJoria with at least 20 women. Leaked DMs and other images exposed Jesse for his affairs, but this isn't the first time that a photo has gotten him in trouble. The West Coast Choppers founder was also accused of being someone who supports the ideals similar to those of the World War II German government in 2004 after a photo was leaked which showed him posing like the fascist German leader. I think you know what I'm talking about. Jesse clearly has problems respecting people on different fronts, and he definitely is not a nice person.
At number 7, Bill Murray. Bill Murray has a bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor behavior on set, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's actually bullied one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you'd think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but that's quite the opposite. In reality, it was a sort of hostile work environment that caused Bill to take on a dislike towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, "I get why you're here, you've got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here? You can't act." Apparently, the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during one scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. Bill Murray is one mean guy. I mean, he's admitted to being mean, but man, he's got some seriously bad vibes. At number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. I think this one's a little obvious because it's Ellen. We've done a lot of videos on Ellen. Ellen has been exposed as one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Even though she was all about kindness and spreading good vibes on her show, it seems like Ellen's angel persona on TV was quite the opposite in real life. Many staff members, as well as other people who've been on the show with her and have worked with her in the past, have started coming forward to talk about Ellen's mean streak in Hollywood. It turns out that there are some workplace horrors afoot over on the Ellen show set, with people claiming that you're not allowed to look Ellen in the eye, and those who approach her are often spoken to rudely or even face racial biases. Also, there seems to be some kind of drama with the toilets on set. I guess people's butts are very prestigious or something. There have been reports of Ellen getting people in trouble for having chipped nail polish, for giving away fan mail, and apparently there's a rumor that Ellen picks one member of staff to be mean to every day. Lovely person, isn't she? Halfway through at number 5, Mike Myers. Mike Myers isn't really doing much in Hollywood these days, and I think I might know why. It's because he's so mean. There have been a number of horror stories to come out about the actor, which sort of paints him as both a diva and just a really mean person in general. Some of the things that have come out about the actor include rumors that when he's on set, he has someone following him around all day, feeding him chocolates from a Tupperware container, at the same time as ordering other people around and micromanaging the production. And as if that's bad enough, he's also reportedly gotten an actor fired off set for only having made eye contact with Mike. That is some seriously mean and toxic behavior. On top of that, he's allegedly refused to sign autographs for a toy company who made toys based on his characters, and even though he demanded that this company ship him his merchandise as soon as it was ready, he then refused to pay for them. People also describe him as a narcissist and controlling, so no wonder no one wants to work with him anymore. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele is another celebrity who's been exposed for her mean streak this year. Following a Twitter exposure from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, Lea has now been described as, quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star isn't the only testimony that has come forward recounting her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food, refusing to work with people because they didn't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates, and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and just so many other frustrating tidbits that just really show how rude and entitled she's known to be. At number 3, Neil deGrasse Tyson. You may know Neil deGrasse Tyson for being a Pluto hater, or for his time on TV having guest spots on The Big Bang Theory, and for hosting the show Cosmos, but after today you may know him for being a bad guy. First off, let's talk about his tweeting habits. People know him for his obnoxious opinions on sci-fi movies, as he likes to pick them apart for their scientific inaccuracies on Twitter, but he's also angered people for being insensitive. In 2019, after the US experienced a pair of mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, Tyson took to Twitter seemingly defending the gun violence, saying that more people have died from medical reasons or from accidents in those 2 days than from the shootings. He faced backlash for this tone-deaf tweet, but he's also faced backlash in the past for more serious issues. Other than his offensive tweets, he's also been accused of assault and harassment in the past. 3 women have come forward to accuse the scientist of assaulting them, and one of these women claims that Neil gave her a substance and had non-consensual relations with her, though he ended up writing this incident off as false memory. I was shocked to hear about Neil, and I'm sure I'm definitely not the only one who didn't know about this. At number 2, Sandra Bullock. I don't know about you, but to me, when I think about Sandra Bullock, I think of a wholesome soccer mom. Like the type of person that would comfort you but give you some tough love. Well, after learning about how mean Sandra really is, I don't think I'll be looking at her the same way again. A fan had a very unpleasant run-in with the actress and she totally blew up in his face. The story goes that a woman and her husband were out for a walk in the park when they recognized Sandra in the area. She was on a break from filming The Heat, and so the couple approached Sandra and asked for an autograph. The husband was a big fan of hers and he was a wheelchair-bound veteran, so they thought that she might take a moment for them, but sadly that wasn't the case. Instead, she started screaming at him and sorta had a meltdown. Later on, the couple said that they understand that celebrities might not like being hounded by paparazzi and fans, but they thought that maybe she'd make an exception for them. Even still, a simple no would have done the trick. There was no reason to yell. At number 1, John Mayer. John Mayer is not as nice as you may have thought. Though his songs sound beautiful and his lyrics might move you, he isn't the man you thought he was. Turns out he's a jerk. He's spoken poorly about a lot of women he's dated, including Jessica Simpson and Jennifer Aniston, both of whom still hold grudges to this day, and he's said some pretty nasty things about women in general, making sexually charged comments, and even going so far as to say that he only finds white women attractive and literally no one else. Speaking of race, John has also used a lot of racial slurs in the past, saying the N-word with the hard R on a few occasions, and never having apologized for his actions. So next time you hear one of his songs on the radio, think about the person he really is deep down, and then change the station. You do not need that negativity in your life. At number 10, Catherine Zeta-Jones. According to people who've worked with or lived near, actress Catherine Zeta-Jones is one of those celebrities you do not want to run into. People have had some less than kind reviews about their encounters with the actress, and it's surprising. Apparently, Catherine has a very entitled attitude, expecting to be catered to her every whim, and refuses to tip you for your assistance. One person even shared a story about how she was living in a a condo when visiting a different city and demanded that the other tenants be banned from using the facility's gym while she was there. As one would expect, this request did not go over well with the rest of the tenants. She also has a reputation of being harsh and cold with fans. Once, when an 8-year-old fan of hers approached her saying that she wanted to become an actress just like Catherine, the actress reportedly just looked the girl up and down and told her, quote, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," and then just walked away. Clearly, Catherine has some things to learn about being nice to others. At number 9, Russell Crowe. Actor Russell Crowe is able to command an audience while performing and captivate them with his talent, but that seems to be about the extent of his pleasant connection with others, since he's reportedly a very mean person. There have been a number of reports detailing his violent outbursts, from yelling at people like fans and co-workers to fighting with his bodyguards. At one point, he was even rude to a large group of people while on an Irish talk show where he was performing a Johnny Cash song. The audience tried clapping along to the song but couldn't keep in time, and this made Russell mad and he told them to shut up. Russell has also had a violent outburst with hotel staff in 2005 where he threw a phone at one of its employees, resulting in him getting charged with felony assault. And to top it all off, he even had some harsh words for his fellow actors, calling George Clooney, Harrison Ford, and Robert De Niro sellouts. Before I continue on with the video, I just want to let you guys know that we have a brand new gaming channel launching January 22nd. Viper Girl, aka me, will be streaming everything from Minecraft to FNAF to Cyberpunk and more. Check this promo out and go subscribe after this. I promise you will not regret it.
Oh my gosh, I almost died. I almost died. I thought you were a cactus, my friend. I thought you were a cactus. We've got iron, baby. Yes. Okay, my main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. Bro, no, I'm gonna fight you with a pork chop. No, come here, come here. This is awesome.
At number 8, Jon Hamm. Some have pointed out that Jon Hamm's Mad Men character, Don Draper, is played a little bit too well. The mean and arrogant character seems to share a number of similarities to Jon's own personality, according to some, which sort of makes the two of them mold into one uber mean guy. According to Kathy Griffin, of all people, Jon Hamm is a rude guy, and she exposed him in her book Celebrity Run-Ins: My A to Z Index. In her book, Kathy recounts her unpleasant encounter with Jon at a dinner party. Jon apparently questioned why Kathy was at the event in the first place, and then later on he approached her again, clearly intoxicated, while she was talking to Jack Nicholson, and whispered in her ear saying, quote, "You know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy and you're so old." That's exactly how it was spelled. Old. Yeah, sure, he's in the Skip the Dishes commercials, but frankly, I'd like to skip him. At number 6, Pierce Brosnan. During an episode of The Late Late Show in 2017, James Corden spilled the tea on the rudest celebrity he's ever met, and it took some people by surprise. During a segment of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, guest Khloe Kardashian asked James about his worst experience with a celebrity, and James did not hold back. He told viewers about a run-in that he had with the actor at a concert while with his wife. James said, quote, "I went to see U2 and Pierce Brosnan was with some friends here, and they left halfway through the gig to go off. So me and my wife moved into this area, and literally this arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way. I looked at him like that, and he didn't even glance at me," end quote. So basically, Pierce left his section for a bit, and James moved in, but when Pierce got back, he shoved James out of the way. I mean, he could have just been a little nicer about it. I don't know, like tapping him on the shoulder and saying, "Excuse me." I never thought of Pierce Brosnan as a mean person, but James' story may have changed my mind. At number 5, Vanessa Hudgens. When you think about Vanessa Hudgens, most people would picture her in High School Musical. For years, she carried around that Disney vibe, but after learning about her dark side, you may change your thoughts about her. Basically, Vanessa often lets her jealousy get the best of her, and oftentimes, this leads to people getting their feelings hurt. Take, for example, this one time when a fan approached Vanessa's ex, Zac Efron. The couple were out shopping at a department store when a young fan went up to Zac to tell him how much she loved him. She was apparently super nervous and stumbling over her words, and so instead of being an understanding and respectful person, Vanessa instead started making fun of the young fan. She started laughing at the poor girl and humiliated her in front of her celebrity crush. The other shoppers were shocked at Vanessa's behavior, but this apparently wasn't a new thing, since Vanessa had reportedly told sources that she found fans to be obnoxious. Fans aren't the only ones to feel her wrath either, and she was rumored to have bullied Selena Gomez as well, on a few occasions. At number 4, Gene Simmons. Musician Gene Simmons is known for his performances and music, not so much for being a nice guy. Though people may like him for the music that he creates, you may feel differently about him after learning how mean he really is. Gene has been called a misogynist because of some of the things that he said to and about women. One example of him being offensive towards women comes from an interview he did for NPR where he was talking about how money is important to him, saying, quote, "I don't know what other tool I would use besides money to buy it. Although as a woman, of course you have the ability to sell your body, then get the money, and then with that get food," end quote. Not a nice way to think of women at all. Gene has also said some creepy and disgusting things about women he's slept with and women in general, calling them names and saying derogatory things, and has also made a number of racist remarks. He's made horrible remarks about many different cultures and races and has even included some disrespectful language in some songs. I'd recommend not getting too close to this one either. At number 3, Amber Heard. I couldn't make this mean celebrity list without including Amber. That's like watching a Marvel movie and leaving before the end credits. You just don't do that. I'm sure that we all know who Amber Heard is by now, and if not, where have you been? Amber and Johnny have been the media's it story this past year, and we've learned so much. If you've seen my recent video where I gave you the top 10 worst Amber Heard moments, then it's no surprise to you that she is a horrible person, but if not, let me recap some of her highlights. She's gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to have been a victim of a violent crime, she's smuggled her dogs into Australia, pretended not to have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury. She's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she's supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all of these things that have come out about the actress, there's just so many people from around the world who just really hate her. There have been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So yeah, she definitely belongs on this list. At number 2, Guy Fieri. Guy Fieri, although loved by many, is actually the #1 most hated celebrity chef. You might be asking yourself, why? He's not that bad. Well, my friend, you'd be surprised. Turns out that though Guy is a fun-loving dude on camera, he's actually pretty mean in real life. He's got a pretty big ego, he's made some pretty offensive jokes, and he's not a very nice guy when it comes to women. He's also been accused of being anti-Semitic and anti-gay. People said that he is full of himself and controlled by fame, he makes sexist jokes, and is always caught staring at women's breasts, so much to the point that editors for his show have to cut out those moments. That's a lot. He's also refused to work with or even talk to anyone from the gay community, and apparently you have to give him forewarning before he does. And people also hate him because he makes a mockery of the culinary arts, calling himself a chef when he doesn't even have any culinary training. At number 1, James Corden. James Corden has brought us carpool karaoke, laughs on his show, and entertainment in his other productions. For such a happy and fun guy, there's no way that he could be a total jerk. Wrong again. Turns out he's actually pretty mean, and that this persona that you see on TV is all an elaborate ruse. In reality, James is arrogant, rude, and kind of a diva. There are a bunch of stories that paint James as a mean person. Firstly, he was part of a group of people who advocated for paying late night writers less money. Yes, you heard that right. He's also been known to use the "do you know who I am" line quite a number of times, and he's even reportedly told someone that he could buy them if they didn't do what he wanted. There have been incidents of fans catching James being mean to his wife and letting his temper get the best of him at times. A lot of people say that he only acts nice in order to butt kiss his way to the top, and he doesn't care who he takes down in the process. I only have one word for him: toxic. At number 10, Rachel Ray. Rachel Ray may seem like a happy, fun, and helpful person on TV, but it seems like that's not exactly true. She might seem wholesome while teaching you how to make a casserole, but deep down she's got a dark side. There are a few unpleasant things about Rachel that people have caught on to, including things like being a lousy tipper at restaurants, having allegedly cheated on her husband, and being rude on set. But she's also been accused of more harsh things like making racial remarks about Oprah, the very woman who gave her her start. On top of that, she's also talked badly behind the backs of a lot of celebrities, calling them some pretty mean names that I can't repeat on YouTube. And she's also faced lawsuits for her dog food brand containing toxic substances, so not only is she mean to people, but she's mean to dogs too. At number 8, Kanye West. Kanye West isn't the nicest guy out there, I think we all know that. I mean, he's not the worst person, but he also has a knack for offending people. Whether it's on stage or on Twitter, I'm sure we've seen Kanye West be pretty mean and offensive on multiple occasions. Let me highlight a few of his worst moments. Remember the VMA Kanye incident where he stole Taylor Swift's spotlight after winning her award? Not nice. How about his claim that slavery was a choice, undermining the struggle of so many black lives lost and abused by enslavement? People also think Kanye is mean because he tries to control what his wife Kim wears, trying to manipulate her style but also forcing her to cover up and not show as much skin. We also have to mention his tweets as well. He's very outspoken online and has a tendency to offend people a lot. From his claims about Bill Cosby being an innocent man following his allegations, as well as his tweets bashing his own family members, Kanye does not hold back. Some people believe that Kanye is mean because he thinks that he's better than everyone else and doesn't have to worry about other people's feelings as well. At number 7, Taylor Swift. A lot of people don't like Taylor Swift because of her attitude. She's really talented and has a lot of success in the industry, but some people have said that her attitude has rubbed them the wrong way. Taylor has been seen feuding with a lot of women in the industry, even though she preaches about spreading positivity and feminism. On top of that, the fact that she writes so many songs about her exes make people see her negatively because these relationships may not deserve to be exposed in the way that she does. In the past, Taylor has also faced cultural appropriation scandals because of her music video for the song Shake It Off, and to dig deeper, some people have also discovered that Taylor used to be a bully in high school. Basically, some people say that her quirky girl next door sort of look is all fake and that she's really just a bully. But what do you guys think? At number 6, Ben Stiller. Though many people know him as this super funny guy, behind closed doors, it seems as though he's quite the opposite. People who know or have worked with Ben in the past have exposed some of his mean behavior, and it's pretty shocking. According to those who worked with him on the set of Tropic Thunder, he was very controlling and mean to just about everyone. He reportedly had a meltdown on set when his Diet Coke didn't have exactly 2 ice cubes in it, and he even had someone fired because they didn't put enough sugar in his coffee. Ben even forced his assistant to stand out in the parking lot in his designated parking space, even though it already had a sign saying that it was reserved. Ben also freaked out on a female assistant that he had and refused to come back to set until she was replaced by a male assistant. Being an assistant to the stars can often pay well, but I don't think you could ever pay me enough to endure Ben Stiller's treatment of others.
At number 5, Terrence Howard. Empire actor Terrence Howard has a reputation for being difficult. He was dropped by the Iron Man franchise over failed contract negotiations and for being difficult to work with on set. This is far from the only reason why he's on this list. Terrence also has a reputation for harming women and others on many occasions. In 2000, the actor was arrested for assaulting a flight attendant, but those charges were later dropped. 1 year later, he was arrested again for getting into a heated argument with his ex-wife, which led to him driving to her house, kicking down the door, and physically harming her, to which he pleaded guilty. In 2005, he was involved in another violent encounter as he allegedly punched 2 people, and in 2010, less than a week after their wedding, Terrence began mistreating his wife, physically harming her and threatening her life. 2 years later, he was involved in another fight with one of his mistresses, where he physically assaulted her as well. Other than the fact that these violent incidents have happened so many times, the fact that he's also gone out of his way to blame these incidents on the victims on multiple occasions also says something about his attitude.
At number 4, Cuba Gooding Jr. There is a lot that could be said about Cuba Gooding Jr. Firstly, it looks as though Cuba has quite a short temper. Once at a bar in New Orleans, some fans approached him asking for a photo, and instead of politely declining, he started yelling and swearing at those who asked for anything from him. Naturally, this caused a scene, but when the bartender asked him to leave, he responded by shoving her against a wall. Yeah. Lovely. This isn't the only time he's laid his hands on a woman though, because along with a bad temper, Cuba also has a record of having inappropriate or unwanted actions with women. His alleged victims have come forward accusing the actor of things from unwanted touching to making inappropriate remarks and creating uncomfortable environments by displaying unwanted flirtatious advances. Cuba has actually faced a number of lawsuits regarding his inappropriate behavior around women, and a number of women have come forward to share their unwanted encounters with him. Obviously, I can't go into detail about the things he's been accused of for YouTube reasons, but if you really want to know, it's on the internet for you to read. Bottom line, this guy is not nice at all. At number 3, Adam Levine. Well, we talked about Christina Aguilera, so next up on the voice cast list is Adam Levine, and boy, is there some tea. Though Adam has cleaned up his act a bit in recent years after settling down, there was a time that he was not a nice guy. In the past, Adam has trash-talked a lot of his exes, making for some pretty toxic energy. And of course, we have to mention his feuding with Christina Aguilera. He's also had beefs with Lady Gaga and Miley Cyrus just because he was very nitpicky about their music sick for no reason really, and he's also been in several arguments with other voice co-stars as well. Adam has also been accused of being a homewrecker because he had an alleged affair with Jessica Simpson, and he's also given some inappropriate details about his love life that I'm sure his partner would have liked to have been kept secret. But I think the thing that tops this all off is the fact that Adam has said in the past that he, quote, didn't give autographs to ugly chicks. 2 words: toxic energy. At number 5, Michael Phelps. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps is often called the best swimmer of all time, but it seems like his aquatic skills are really all he's got going for him, since he's apparently got a bad attitude. He's done some pretty bad stuff in his life, so people don't think too highly of him. Back in 2014, he was arrested for driving under the influence, and speaking of that influence, Phelps has also been caught with drugs before. This isn't good for his image because being an Olympian, people have a lot of eyes on you. Phelps was reprimanded for his drunk driving and was suspended from swimming for 6 months, but other than that, the scandal was pretty much kept under wraps. On top of this swimmer being a felon, he's also known to not be a team player. Apparently, he hides himself away from his other teammates when at competitions like the Olympics. You would think that being at something like the Olympics, you'd want to soak up all of that team spirit, but no. Michael wants nothing to do with his team and instead flies solo. Kind of a bad attitude if you ask me. At number 4, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is actually one of the few celebrities who's actually admitted to being mean, and being mean on purpose. Yeah, some other celebs might be intentionally mean to intimidate people, but Jennifer Lawrence has actually admitted to being mean as a way to defend herself. Being a Hollywood A-lister must be tough, so you have to find a way to navigate through that, so I'm guessing that being rude works for Jennifer. The actress has said that she is intentionally mean to her fans in an effort to get them to leave her alone. Though I guess it's a good idea in theory to make yourself unapproachable, it might also lead you to losing all of your fans in general. Jennifer really rose to fame through the Hunger Games films, and at the time she would have had a younger fan base, so being mean to these kids was probably taking things a little bit too far. There's really no reason to be afraid of preteens, unless they're on TikTok. At number 3, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts seems like a nice person. She's always cast as nice and endearing characters, but there's so much more to Julia than meets the eye. Apparently, she's a nightmare to work with. Other than having been part of some messy relationships and having been dubbed as a homewrecker at one point, Julia's bad attitude doesn't just take place off set. In 1991, on the set of the Spielberg film Hook, a Peter Pan film, Julia earned the nickname Tinkerhell as a play on her character Tinkerbell, combined with the production's perception of the actress. Apparently, during filming, she would show up to the set late all the time, and she would lock herself in her trailer for hours on end. She would also treat people badly, and she would never apologize for her actions or behavior. Tinkerbell might be cute and nice, but Julia Roberts certainly is not. At number 2, Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks is not all she's cracked up to be. She claims to be someone who's inclusive in the modeling industry, and she claims that she's kind and fair to everyone, but that is so far from the truth. She even tried framing Naomi Campbell as the industry's mean girl, but after Naomi responded to those allegations thrown her way, people started realizing that it was Tyra who was the tyrant all along. Other than throwing shade at Naomi, we've also come to realize some of the other horrible things that she's done. For example, while on America's Next Top Model, she made the contestants change their appearances all the time. Though Tyra claims that she's about being unique, she sure does like changing these girls' looks. On top of that, she also forced contestants to wear blackface and other racially insensitive makeup and clothing. Though she claimed that it was to show off and express other cultures, she totally went about that in an offensive and mean way. And Tyra even shamed people for the way they express themselves, as well as some contestants' sexualities. So many former contestants of the show have said how horrible Tyra is to work with, and if you see Tyra's outbursts on TV, I think that's already proof enough as to how mean she can be. At number 1, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is one of the best basketball players of all time. The guy is a legend, but it seems as though Michael isn't all sunshine and rainbows off the court. When in the game, he's dazzling the crowd and winning games, but in real life, outside of sports, he's actually kind of a jerk. Many fans have said that he isn't the nicest celebrity out there because he can be very dismissive and rude to his fans, denying them photos or autographs. He's also been kicked out of a country club for being rude to other guests, and he's also been known to be quite mean to other athletes. For example, he once punched Steve Kerr in the face over a disagreement that they had. On top of that, Jordan bullied Bill Cartwright because he was salty that the team brought him on, and he's also been known to call other players really mean names and threaten them as well. I think he did all that stuff to intimidate these other players so that he could remain on top, but it's still quite rude of him to treat others this way. One more example that shows how mean this guy is, he tried cheating an old lady out of a game of cards. Who does that? Not cool, man. At number 10, Kim Kardashian. Kim K is definitely no stranger to scandal. It seems like every few weeks she's in the news about something, and her fans, haters, and news sources alike are talking about her latest scandal, either defending or scrutinizing her for it. Though she's faced backlash for political drama and for taking vacations during the pandemic, one of her longest standing dramas is her cultural appropriation. Many of the things Kim posts or advertises gets called out for cultural appropriation. Back when she first launched her shapewear line Skims, she faced backlash for its original name being kimono, as it was seen as offensive to the Japanese community. She's also been called out for appropriating black culture as well because of the hairstyles that she's worn and for blackfishing. Kim has been seen wearing cornrows and posing with darkened tans on multiple occasions, which has angered many people. She, as well as many other members of her family, have been called out for these kinds of actions, and the fact that this keeps happening kind of says a lot about them. At number 9, Drake Bell. I think most people know about Drake Bell from his time on Nickelodeon, specifically for his role in the show Drake and Josh. Drake Bell was a big part of a lot of people's childhoods, but his past actions may surprise you. In August 2020, Drake was accused of mistreating his ex-girlfriend Melissa Lingefeld after she took to TikTok to make a video detailing her experiences with the actor. Melissa told fans on TikTok that during her relationship with Drake, which lasted from August 2006 to February 2009, she endured physical and verbal mistreatment from her partner. The pair started dating when Melissa was 16, and after a year of dating, she claimed that the quote, worst type of verbal mistreatment you could ever imagine began. She then detailed some of the physical mistreatment that she endured as well. She also brought to light some of the messages that suggested other inappropriate relationships that Drake has had in the past. Drake denied these allegations, but support and praise for telling her story was still given to Melissa regardless. Before I carry on with this list, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider leaving a like on this video if you are enjoying it so far. It really helps the channel out, and we love seeing your support as well. At number 8, Bruce Willis. Actor Bruce Willis has had a great career making great movies and basking in fame, but it seems as though he's not all that great in real life. Though his films are often very successful, it all comes at a price that those who worked alongside him have had to pay. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with, as he's gotten into some conflicts with others on set, and people just really hate working with him. Before Die Hard launched his film career, he was brought into stardom after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. In 2005, Shepherd told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became volatile and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering, and it was just a toxic environment. But Sybil isn't the only one to have clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had his troubles with working with Bruce while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though he said that Bruce was his hero in past productions, that opinion completely went out the window after saying that working with Bruce was very difficult. When talking about their time together on set, he turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, and meanest emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I've worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience, end quote. Maybe Bruce just isn't all he's cracked up to be. At number 6, Katherine Heigl. A lot of people don't like Katherine Heigl because of how rude she is. She's been known to be mean to people on set, have high demands, and just has a really bad attitude. She's known to be quite critical of her roles and the material that she's given to work with, and even said that this is why she withdrew from Emmy nominations, because she said that the material that she was given for Grey's Anatomy didn't warrant an Emmy. That's certainly disrespectful to the writers, because for someone to say something like that implies that the writing wasn't good enough to please people, whereas the people at the Emmys thought that it was worth the award. And on top of that, winning this kind of award looks good for the team, but Katherine obviously didn't think of that, and she only thought about herself. Talk about a bad attitude. Katherine is also known to make ridiculously high salary demands, and she apparently has been doing this since before she became a big name in the industry. She's reportedly hired and fired a lot of publicists and assistants over the years, so she sounds like quite the diva. Because of all this, directors and Hollywood execs don't want to work with her anymore, and I can't really say I blame them. Halfway through at number 5, Christian Bale. Christian Bale's temper is really something to behold. I really wanted to include a clip of one of his outbursts, but there was so much swearing that no one has time to bleep all of that. After his outbursts on set, from crew members upsetting him to fans getting him riled up, Hollywood has begun to paint the actor as someone with serious anger issues. In one instance, according to Christian's former assistant, he once wanted to kill a fan. Fans seem to have really upset the actor on multiple occasions, so apparently once Christian received a fan letter at home, he said that the fan should be eliminated. He described wanting to thrust a screwdriver through the fan's eye and into their brain to the part that prevents screaming. I'll let that one sit there for a second. On another occasion, Christian went on a 4-minute swear word-ridden tirade where he really chewed out a crew member from the set of Terminator Salvation. That one I have no quotes for, because if I repeated any of those words, this video would be flagged, and just trust me when I say Christian Bale is one mean SOB. At number 4, Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel plays fun, bubbly, and happy characters in TV and in films, but her real personality is far from nice. Turns out that Zooey is actually pretty mean in real life. Her biggest thing is brushing off or being mean to her fans. According to one fan on Reddit, she allows some fans to talk to her, but only for a brief amount of time, if that. And she doesn't do pictures or autographs, and she'll just walk away from you if she wants to. People who have worked with the actress have also said that she's got a bad attitude on set, and that she's pretty stuck up and has a big ego. Others say that she demands a lot, throws tantrums about literally anything, and has a reputation for delaying shoots, but will go off on anyone else who makes demands or delays shoots. Double standards here. Basically, she's got a bad attitude, and that's one of the reasons why she doesn't get cast much anymore, because no one wants to work with her. At number 3, Alec Baldwin. Actor Alec Baldwin is yet another celebrity who's rubbed people the wrong way because of his short temper. He's gotten in trouble over the years for being verbally and physically aggressive, which caused him to have a mean streak in Hollywood. One of his earliest scandals happened in 1995, where he was placed under a citizen's arrest after punching a cameraman in the face, breaking his nose. The altercation happened because a photographer was trying to take a picture of his new daughter, so I guess his parental instincts just got the best of him. But if this aggression was just a one-off, that would be one thing, but unfortunately this isn't the case with Alec. Later on in 2007, he was in the news again for berating his daughter on the phone, calling her a selfish little pig, among other harsh things, after he got frustrated that she didn't pick up his calls. And he was kicked off of an American Airlines flight in 2011 after being aggressive after he was told to turn his phone off on the plane. There are a number of other stories of Alec getting aggressive, so I think it's safe to say that he's got a mean streak. At number 2, Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is seemingly one of the former Disney stars who was able to walk away from the company unscathed for the most part, but over the years it seems as though she's traded her goody Disney image for a mean girl attitude. While her character Lizzie McGuire stood up to being mean, Hilary clearly did not keep that in mind when she put her neighbor on blast in 2018. The actress took to her Instagram to rant about her neighbor, talking about the noise and the smell that she's endured while living near them, but instead of keeping their name out of things, she put it out there. Multiple times. On several Instagram stories, Hilary posted her neighbor's first and last name as she continued to berate them and call them names. Doing this actually violated Instagram's community guidelines, and some of the posts were taken down as a result. I mean, anybody can rant about whatever, as we've seen on the internet multiple times, but posting their name to millions of followers who are also able to find this person and berate them more is definitely going too far and definitely grants you a mean status. And finally, at number 1, Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is known for his alt-metal music and unique style, but now he's also known as someone who hurts others. Actress Evan Rachel Wood came out to name the singer as the one who's hurt her, accusing him of manipulating and brainwashing her from a young age. The actress posted a testimony to her Instagram calling Manson as well as the industry out for his actions and for enabling him all this time. In the past, Evan Rachel Wood has spoken out about the fact that she was in a toxic relationship and has detailed some of the horrific things that she's experienced, but she's never named the one who mistreated her until now. In a published testimony, she said, quote, "He broke me down through means of starvation, sleep deprivation, and threats against my life, sometimes with things which would result in me having severe panic attacks where I was unable to breathe or stop shaking." She also said that she had her phone tapped and had threats made against her loved ones. Other women have also come forward to detail their encounters with the singer and the things that they've experienced as well. Manson has since been dropped by his label and booking agent after these allegations came to light.